Good evening, world. My brothers and sisters around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are around the world. We say thank you once again for watching our videos and subscribing to our channel. Before I forget, please subscribe at Chrissy B Emotip. Just click the red button or the red word which says subscribe, and then just click that and you're subscribed to us. So also share our videos, like them as well. Leave your comments down below. Tell us, give us some feedback about what we've said. And it's with sadness that I've got to announce that we've lost the great Little Richard last night. I was playing some music at home and I got a message on Facebook that Little Richard had passed away. I couldn't believe it. And he was 87 years of age. He'd been sick for a while actually. And he's one of the last of the Mohicans, one of the last man standing, because we lost Fats Domino a couple of years ago. And we lost Chuck Berry a couple of years ago as well. I remember when Chuck Berry passed away, I actually done a tribute to him on the radio. And so it's a shame that we're losing our icons, our pioneering icons as well. And of course, Little Richard is dubbed the architect of rock and roll, one of the creators of rock and roll, along with Chuck Berry and Fats Domino. And he was born in 1932, the 5th of December, as Richie Penniman. And in those early days, Little Richard would go around as a drag, dressing as a woman, and his friends would tease him because he used to put a lot of makeup on, lipstick, nail varnish, eyelash, eyeliners and so on, and he would look like a drag and also a transsexual as well. But he took it in his stride, and he went on to become one of the finest voices. Was ow! Those signature screams before you get to the bridge of songs were really unprecedented at that time. And yeah, the likes of people like Jerry Lee Lewis, who's still alive, the likes of Fats Domino and Chuck Berry, they never sung like that, but he had a unique style from the others, and he would go on to inspire the likes of the Beatles and the likes of the Rolling Stones, and even James Brown. When James Brown first started singing back in the 1950s, he would go around as a little Richard impersonator. Also in Jamaica, you had people like Derek Morgan, the king of ska, one of the kings of ska, and also, of course, Owen Gray, another king of ska, who would go around and talent shows in Jamaica and imitate Little Richard in the 50s when they were youngsters coming up and into the budding Jamaican music industry. And so his inspiration and his influence is so diverse, the four corners of the globe. And so we've lost him at the age of 87. His son confirmed it, and it's such a shame. Big hits like Good Golly Miss Molly, Whip It Up, Babyface, Tutti Frutti. I remember hearing Tutti Frutti as a youngster. One of the very first times I heard Tutti Frutti, I thought, what was that? I said, wow, it's just the energy behind the song and the yelps, the ow, Tutti Frutti, oh really, Tutti Frutti, ow, Tutti Frutti, unruly, Tutti Frutti, unruly, I want the dog babu. I mean, that is just an amazing sound coming from one's mouth. And of course, it's such a sad loss. He was one of the first inductees into the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in 1986. And Muhammad Ali, the great Muhammad Ali, once said that he is the king of rock and roll, because he said that also Little Richard himself said that without him there'll be no Elvis, and if he was white there'll be no Elvis anyway. He said that if he was white there'll be no Elvis, and he's so right. He's totally right. And even though I do admire Elvis, I have to say I do rate Elvis. I actually like him, but not like Little Richard, and he's cuts above the rest. And as the Beatles, as Paul McCartney said that, no, actually John Lennon said that before Little Richard there was nothing. He was one of the first guys they were listening to, and he inspired them. And also the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, Ronnie Wood and others. When they were growing up, it was Little Richard records they were listening to. Cliff Richard was another one, Tom Jones was another one, Elton John. That's just in England. In America it was the same. As I said, Buddy Holly was listening to Little Richard songs, so too was Jerry Lee Lewis and others. And some of those rockabilly artists, rockabilly would go into actually be like the white version of rock and roll, really, but they also crossed over and came into rock and roll itself. And then rock and roll eventually with R&B would actually going into rock and roll, because R&B and rock and roll ran parallel with each other in the 50s. And if you notice, a lot of rock and roll artists were going and do R&B like Fats Domino, He did a lot of R&B numbers. So too did Little Richard. So the two genres are like sisters and brothers of each other. It's a bit like ska, rocksteady, and reggae. They're all family. Of course, out of one comes the other, and so on and so forth. And so it's such a sad thing to really report that we lost such a great icon. I was looking around the other day saying that a lot of those pioneering icons that were alive before, they've now more or less passed away. We've got Stevie Wonder still with us. We've got Lionel Richie still with us. We've got Shaka Khan. We've got Diana Ross. But for the male side of things, it's becoming very, 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 very thin on the ground and very, very bare. And a lot of our icons, our male icons, are in the soul world and reggae world. They're disintegrating at such a rapid rate, and it's such a sad thing to see that a lot of our icons are passed away. And it's a sad thing, and what a thing that is. And I'm going to talk about Belly Wright because we lost Belly Wright earlier this morning as well, but I want to talk about Belly Wright on another post. So quite possibly later on we'll come back with another post, or if not later on we'll come back with another post tomorrow about Betty Wright, because she has a special place in my heart, and it's something that I really want to speak about individually away from Little Richard. I remember years ago, one of the very first times I heard Little Richard's songs before when I was a kid. Yeah. This is like 40 years ago. But I remember I went to a relative's house back in I think it was about 1999, 2000, around that time. And he had this big LP, it was a big long player, and it had all these songs on it. And I saw this guy, he looked flamboyant. He had like a curly perm, and and I thought, wow. And then when this particular relative of mine put the record on to the turntable, all I heard was it was like jazzy blues, it was like a jazzy blues feel, like ah, 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 and you could hear all the rhythms, all the instruments in tandem with each other. The rhythm was so contagious, and all you heard was all these screaming, Tootie Foolie, ow, I'm gonna rip it up, I'm gonna mash it up, what about tonight, ow. I thought to myself, what is this? This is amazing. It's like out of the world. Yeah, out of this world. I mean, I know music and I know I've got a lot of records, but when I first heard Little Richard, I thought, who's this? I heard of Fats Domino, I heard of Chuck Berry. I would have heard of Little Richard, but it kind of went out of my mind. But when I went to this relative's house and he put the record on, and I was hearing all these songs, and all I was hearing was the instrumentation, which is beautiful, R&B, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, yeah. And then all I'll be hearing from the artist, which is Little Richard, was screaming and impassioned vocals. It's just like, it's very, very like frantic. And I thought to myself, this is just amazing. And so not long after, I went out and I got some records of Little Richard, and then I eventually started to collect a lot more records of rock and roll and R&B. Because when I first collected, I was collecting a lot of reggae and soul records and pop records, Michael Jackson, Terence Trent D'Arby, and those guys, And then I said, yes, I've got to get into the R&B, because that's the foundation of our music. Of course, before you had R&B and rock and roll, you had, of course, jazz and blues, and Little Richard comes from that school because he started out in the late 40s. So he came from the jazzy and from the bebop era of the likes of Miles Davis, and Johnny Coltrane and those guys, and I could name other names, but they don't quite come to me right now. And he came from that school, so he came from that school where jazz was a popular thing in the 40s, because he grew up in the 30s, 40s, and by the 50s he was a teenager, so he would have got a dosage of that, And so we've lost a great icon. We've lost a great icon, and so many number one hit records and influence, as I said before, so many people. And so the road of music is, from a black perspective, is becoming a very, very lonely place, because a lot of our true icons, and when I say true, Little Richard is at the top of it, with the likes of James Brown, Fats Domino, Chuck Berry, Ray Charles. People like these are the pinnacle. Sam Cooke died many years ago, and we're losing them. And I'm sort of we lost Aretha Franklin a couple of years ago as well, and I'm sort of scratching my head. Who else is there? Who else is there around now who's really from that generation? we could look at as a bona fide icon? And the only two people I can think of right now is Lionel Richie, but Lionel Richie's coming from the 70s really, yeah. And of course Stevie Wonder coming from the 60s, and so it's becoming very, very, very upsetting and depressing at the same time. But anyway, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for listening to me and my crazy self. As I said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're growing, so thank you so much for those subscriptions we got a couple of days ago. We've got quite a lot of subscriptions and we want it to keep growing and growing. So share the video, talk about it, and leave your comments down below, subscribe to us, like the videos. Thank you so much. Peace out. Bless you, love.